Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Friends, today we are going to look at the Sigalaka Sutta from the Digha Nikaya. This is also called the Sigalaka Sutta. It is known as the Digha Nikaya, or the lay person's code of discipline. So this is specially for lay people. This opens with the Buddha going for alms in the morning. He saw Sigalaka. That Sigalaka was a young man. Sigalaka with wet clothes and hair, paying homage to the 6 directions. That is the east, south, west, north, above, and below. So the Buddha stopped and asked Sigalaka why he was doing so. Sigalaka answered that he was obeying his father's dying words. That is to worship the 6 directions. Then the Buddha said, according to the Aryan discipline, that is not the way to honor the 6 directions. So Sigalaka implored the Buddha to teach him the Aryan way. The Buddha said, the Aryan disciple would practice the Dhamma with a view to gaining the welfare and happiness in the present life and the next life, so that she or he is a conqueror of both worlds and also realize the ultimate good of Nibbana by developing the Noble Eightfold Path. It starts, this Aryan way of doing things starts by abandoning the 4 defilements of action. You see, 4 defilements of action. That is, first one is taking life or killing living beings. Then taking what is not given or stealing, sexual misconduct, and lying or uttering untruths. And she or he also refrains from 4 kinds of evil action, namely attachment, that is desire. It's also called chanda in Pali. Ill will, dosa in Pali. Fear, bhaya in Pali. And ignorance or delusion, in Pali it's moha. The 4 defilements mentioned earlier are none other than the first 4 precepts of the Panchasila, or the 5 precepts, specially suitable for the lay people. They are associated with right action, right speech, and right livelihood of the Noble Eightfold Path. These 3 things, right action, right livelihood, right speech, these three are the Sila section in the Noble Eightfold Path. The other two, are Samadhi and Panya. That is concentration and wisdom. So now these belong to the first thing, the Sila part. So one should do this part first in order to be able to attain the other two. So upholding Sila is done by purifying the mind and making the right choices. You see, if we make the wrong choice at the wrong time, we'll fall into trouble. So controlling one's actions in order to preserve one's morality or virtue. It's not only refraining from evil actions, but also consciously and intentionally abandoning bad actions. You see, you want to abandon the bad actions and you abandon them because you want to, not because somebody told you, right? And be aware of one's mind state at any given moment. Now, what it means is, now, at any time, you know what your mind is up to, right? You can't say, oh, I did it mindlessly. No, you have to be mindful, right? So, karmically wholesome morality, right? Karmically wholesome morality means, you see, now when you act, when you do something, there is always some kind of karma, whether it is good karma or bad karma. So karmically wholesome morality is called kusala sila. Kusala sila. Now that is wholesome bodily action, right? Wholesome bodily action. What you do with your body. Wholesome, in a wholesome way. It is called kaya kamma. Kaya kamma. Wholesome verbal action, that is speech, is called vachi kamma. Vachi kamma. Vachi means speech, kamma means action. And purity with regard to one's livelihood. Now, I would like to tell you a little bit about the livelihood, because some people may not understand. Now, what it means today is, now those days livelihood during the Buddha's time was always agriculture or cattle keeping or something like that. But today you find work in offices and so on. So jobs, employment, all this fall under this livelihood. And one does not, in your job, now sometimes you have to sign. Now if you are working with, say in a farm or somewhere, you have to sign certain documents to agree to kill certain animals. Now that is also karmic action, right? So like that, one does not kill, one does not steal, nor utter falsehoods, or take drugs, or sell drugs, or, that kind of thing is wrong livelihood. Now the Buddha has said, you see, not, now if you're a person who is selling things, not to sell these 5 kinds of things. What are they? Living beings, even animals, you see, to sell them. Then to sell them to be killed. Then weapons. Selling weapons is wrong. Then selling meat. Selling alcohol or drugs, and also selling poison. These are the things that Buddha said not to do. Now that falls under livelihood. So to be effective, Buddhist ethics should be dealt with in an intimate, deep level, while genuinely evaluating one's motives and thinking of how one's actions may affect others. We have always to think of not only ourselves, but others too, because we are living in society. So that is what we call right view and right intention in the Noble Eightfold Path. So it would lead to, if you are like this, it would lead to harmony with one's own life, and society at large, and also reality. Now let's take the first 4 defilements that I spoke about, the first 4 defilements. Now, the first one is about killing, isn't that so? So one abstains from killing other beings because life is dear to oneself. Don't we value life, our own life? So, therefore, it must be the same for other beings too. That's how we must think. Normally, for humans, living, existing in this world brings happiness. That's how they think. So we must recognize that it must be so for other beings too, that it is pleasurable, joyful for others also. And therefore, we should not take their lives. And by killing others, what happens? They bring hatred and ill will of the victims against themselves. See, when you kill, the hatred, now the person, the victim who dies, will die with hatred towards you, the killer. So it will bring you bad karma. For no one can escape the consequences of an ill deed. Those who protect other beings are like mighty trees that give shelter and shade to humans, birds, and beasts. Further, all those who refrain from killing become fearless, calm, and serene. And also, they are pleasant to other people. People like them. The Buddha showed compassion to all living beings. So, as followers of the Buddha, we too should pity others who are weaker and abstain from inflicting agony and death upon them. Sentient beings or living beings, in whatever form, maybe animals, maybe devas, maybe petas, whatever form, may be on the path. There are, now if you look at animals also, you will see that there are animals of different, different ways. Their behavior is different from other animals of the same kind. Why is that? Because they have a certain amount of merit within them, in them. So you will see that when you look at these animals or whatever the form, they may be on the path. You see, they may be practicing, and they may have become an animal due to some demeritorious deed, but they still have that germ in them, the germ of practice, you see, of doing good, going in the path, right? So, when we kill or hurt even an animal, it might bring fatal consequences. There are many ways of destroying life. It could be through one's own effort, or one may instruct another to kill, or it may be suicide. Sometimes by using verbal charms or spells or a magical ritual. Also it can be done. Performing an abortion, destroying eggs like that of insects, or giving poisons. These are ways of killing. According to the Dhamma, the results of killing vary according to the intensity of the crime. Now, I want to tell you what is meant by intensity. There are two things that I can think of. One is, now supposing the person who is, harming, actually killing, beats up, cuts up, shoots, does so many things to give a lot of pain to the victim. That is one way of thinking of intensity of the crime. Then the other thing is, the bigger the victim, the greater the effort that has to be used to destroy it. Now, for instance, say an elephant, so big. So to kill an elephant, you must use a lot of effort. So when that is done, that means you have what you call the intensity of the crime. So if guilty of such a crime, one can expect rebirth in deep suffering and anguish for the person who does it. In the Bodhiraja Kumara Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, it is said that this Prince Bodhi and his wife were childless because in an earlier birth, they were shipwrecked, and after landing on a deserted island, they survived by eating birds' eggs. The evil effects of killing are a short lifespan. Now, when people who are very good suddenly dies, not living a long time, you wonder why such a person, why did this happen? But you can see in past lives, that person may have, done some kind of killing. That's the reason. And also there can be ill health, that is physical disease. Also, constant grief due to separation from loved ones, constant fear, and the karmic debt to your victim. Now, what is meant by karmic debt is that now when you kill, you have to take the responsibility for the killing. That is the karmic debt that you owe to the victim. The conditions necessary to complete the evil act of killing are: 1, it must be a sentient being, a living being, and know that it is a living being. Then there is the intention to kill. That's the third one. Then the effort or method used to kill. Then, due to one's effort, death occurs. These 5 things complete, that means you have done the act and you get the result for it. Venerable Ananda, I'm sure most of you know Venerable Ananda, who was the Buddha's attendant for a long time, who looked after the Buddha for a long, long time. Venerable Ananda and the other monk is Venerable Bakkula, were 2 monks who lived to the age of 120, and they never fell ill. It is said that they had longevity because they did not destroy living beings in their previous births. They were very compassionate. That was the reason. By the words, now we come to the second defilement that you have to abandon, right? That is taking what is not given. Now, that this means stealing, but this has a different sort of context. That is a higher and deeper meaning than the words not stealing. You can see that. For instance, unless actually given to us, we would not take by deceitful means, force, or threats what does not belong to us. To be more truthful, we could avoid buying things that were produced by forced labor. You know, now there are certain countries where they have things produced by force without giving proper remuneration, without giving them proper wages and not enough rest, right? These are called sweatshops. Now, you could refuse to buy such things, right? According to the second precept, that is this precept about stealing, we intend to train not to harm others through greed or desire. Now that is, now see, there are lands that belong to us, but there are other lands that belong to the government, maybe forested lands or whatever. Now people who don't have land or even have land make a false deed and acquire government land. Now that is a wrong thing to do. Now that way you create bad karma for yourself, right? Now that is what is meant by taking things by deceit, and that is due to greed or desire. Even if we get writing with, now see, you are working in an office, and when you work in an office you get pencils, pens, erasers, all kinds of things, right? And now what you do is we take them home and distribute to our family. If we do that, we will be transgressing this precept. Now see how we, without thinking, we do these things. So we have to pay back, right? This kind of behavior should be investigated by oneself. Somebody else telling you, you are doing the wrong thing, you might say, you mind your own business. That's not the way, right? You look for things you have to see mindfully for yourself, so that we could see our own greed, selfishness, and acquisitiveness and restrain ourselves. And you see, it's always oneself. We have to do it. You can't expect others to tell us, and we may not, agree to that. Character building in this way will help to develop our heedfulness, that is mindfulness, and learn to be contented, more generous, and less attached to things and people. You see, we are all the time attached to this mind. You see, I and me and mine. Sometimes when we talk, just think of the number of times that we use these words, I, me and mine, within the day. So anyway, practicing these precepts leads us in the Noble Eightfold Path. Another place where we break this precept is when standing in a queue to buy things. I also might have done these things. My children laugh at me now, to mail a letter, enter a bus or shop. We are tempted to push forward, but if we practice mindfulness, we'll never give in to such promptings. Practicing the second precept, this precept that we are talking about, is to respect others and their property. It could be a way of giving actually, right? Because we don't take from them. Even in our home, we could try not to waste food, water, and power. Now, when I say this, you might think, what is this? Why can't we use the water and the electricity and all this? It is after all, we are paying for it. That's not the way to think about it. This is common to all. These things are common to all, universal. So therefore, if we use a lot of these things, there may not be enough for the others, right? So therefore, we have to think. Now, this is another one that is similar to this. Also, when there is a warning of a winter storm, we are tempted to buy everything in bulk. Now, that is to deprive others of their share of things. How do we do that? Now, I may be the person who is in front of the queue at the shop to buy something. I go to the shelves and see there is something that I want to buy. And I buy the whole lot. Now, all those people who come behind me, and they come and if I don't find anything on the shelves, that I have bought them and I have taken them home. Now, surely I don't need those things, all those things. If I leave them on the shelves, just taking what I need only for 1 or 2 days, I will not be depriving the others, right? So that is what is meant there. And when we borrow something, we should return it without damage, right? Now, say you borrow a book and you tear the book here and there, or you spill something on the book. Now, that's not correct. Now, I remember when I was studying, that's long ago, I remember I was a member of the British Council Library. And most of us, we used to go there to, for our studies. When we go and open the book, the pages that we really want are missing. They have been torn and taken away. So it's not only in this generation that you find people like that. Even in our generation, there were people like that who would do such things. So, but these are things that one has to pay back, you see. So anyway, even if you pick up a purse or wallet that has fallen, we should not take it unless we intend to return it to the owner. Not repaying debts, tax evasion, not paying custom duties, identity theft, that is, using someone's identity to obtain certain benefits, stealing a credit card, are ways of transgressing this precept of not taking what is not given. Morality should allow us to live in harmony with ourselves, with oneself. You see, the society and reality, so that we are happy and free from suffering. Now, let us look at the third defilement. Now, that is sexual misconduct. According to the sutta, one commits this by having intercourse with women who are protected by their parents or siblings or relatives or a husband or by the law and those engaged to be married. Though this is given in terms of the male, the precept applies to the female counterpart also. Both parties must keep these precepts, not one party only. We are born into a calmer world where craving and desire are rooted in our consciousness, so that material wealth, possessions, fame, sex, food, status, etc. are thought to be essential for our happiness. In the formless realm, people are born in the reborn, actually, after death, in the formless realm when they attain jhanas, right? So, in those realms, there are beings who are very happy because they have abandoned this type of desire. As for monastics, the Buddha has laid down the rule of celibacy so that upholding goodness unconditionally without allowing emotions to overtake one's mind is easy. When they leave the lay life, their goal is to let go of the coarser emotions. The shaven head and the yellow robe signifies the new goal, that is Nibbana, right? When the novice, nun or monk, identifies with that self-image, it's easier to strive and to keep the precepts by guarding the senses. But for the lay people, it's not easy because every day from the moment of rising, from bed, right, in the morning, till the end of the day, they are surrounded by unwholesome sense objects. This is where the precepts could be a means of saving them from many unwholesome acts by thoughts and speech. Taking the precepts is like, or practicing the precepts actually is like having a gatekeeper in our minds to stop the unwholesome actions. Also, this is the first step in building the energy of mindfulness which guides us and prevents us from committing negative karma. Sexual desire is the principal cause for rebirth again and again. When this act is done with anyone other than one's partner, it is a violation done with a corrupted mind. If a married person is having an affair, she or he will be deceiving and harming one's legitimate partner and will not be protecting one's own family. Sexual behavior like incest, bigamy, prostitution, rape, trading human beings for sexual activity are heinous crimes that will lead to disrepute, loss of wealth, one's relationships with the family and society, and after death, rebirth in the animal realm. If born as a human, such a loose-charactered person will have family problems and an unfaithful partner. By upholding the third precept, that is this one, about sexual misconduct, one will get rebirth. Now, if you uphold it, you see, we'll get rebirth in the human or heavenly realms, respect from other humans, and in this world, be able to continue one's spiritual activities until full enlightenment. Now we come to the fourth defilement, to be abandoned, that is lying, which is very common among lay people, right? Not only lay people, even among monastics. It is stated that the Bodhisattva, that is the Buddha to be, before he became the Buddha, in his previous births, never uttered untruths, and therefore his breath was sweet, and his word was accepted and followed by many devotees. Someone may argue that in the Vesantara Jataka, that was the last Jataka of the Bodhisattva, he deceived his wife Madri when she told him about her bad dream about the children, saying, now perhaps he knew before he told Madri this, that the bad dream was coming to reality. He might have known, but still, what he said was that she may have eaten something that didn't agree. And there was no need to be afraid regarding the safety of the children. So she left the children with him when she went to gather fruit, and he gave them away to the Brahmin who asked for them. The deception was for a worthy cause, that is to attain enlightenment. So let us take it that way. While living with others, when influenced by desire, hatred, and ignorance, such an environment does not help to curb false speech, etc. This is seen in certain cultures or societies where such pressure is exerted, especially within the younger groups, to bring solidarity within it. Now, let me explain it. Now, say there is a group of young fellows, right? And they have taken to drink. They are not supposed to drink, but they have taken. There is one person, one boy who does not like to drink, but these others would tell him, if you don't join us, we are not going to have anything to do with you. So come and have a drink. After all, it's not going to kill you. They would persuade him. And in the end, he too will be drawn to this kind of behavior. So that is what it means by solidarity within the group, right? So in the Sigalaka Nikaya, the Buddha explains right speech is abstaining from lying, divisive speech, abusive speech, and idle chatter. That is all four things that are part of life. The Dhammapada says there is no evil that might not be done by a person who tells a lie. If you tell one lie, to cover it, you have to say many more lies, right? So lies are falsehoods told with the intention to mislead or cause someone to believe something that is not true. If someone pretends to have attained, now this is regarding spiritual attainment, right? To have attained to higher spiritual states without actually obtaining them, for the purpose of deceiving people, receiving gains, fame, and honor, it will bring them great suffering and a woeful rebirth. Another thing is that when they claim to be, arahants or anagamis or whatever, people go to that person, and that person might distort the Dhamma and say things according to his own interpretation, which also is wrong. But if someone lies to protect an innocent victim out of compassion, it may not bring bad results. Now, I must tell you what I mean by that. That is, now, someone out of anger, enmity, might give false evidence and put someone in jail. That kind of thing has happened. And when that happens, another person, knowing the truth that this person did not do it, but was not there when whatever happened was not, that person was not there. But to, help this person out of compassion might say, I was there and I saw this happening, and tell what really happened. Because he might have come to know what really happened and say. And then, that kind of a lie is just to help somebody, an innocent person who is falsely accused. That does not bring bad karma. Speech rooted in 3 poisons that is greed, hatred, and ignorance, is false speech. Even if what one says is factual, if it is for gaining something or to hurt a person that one dislikes or to look important, it falls into this category. Repeating ugly gossip about someone that displeases you is also false speech. As one Zen master says, all speech based on self-concern is false or harmful because it is designed to promote oneself or protect oneself or to get what one wants. Truthfulness arises naturally when we speak from selflessness and concern for others. Speaking truthfully comes from a practice of deep honesty based on compassion, rooted in wisdom. Three things are necessary: honesty, compassion, and wisdom to be honest. When practiced with mindfulness, it reaches one's whole body and mind and all aspects of our life. We will not be able to say an untruth, or act an untruth. First, one becomes truly honest with oneself, because we very often deceive ourselves, and which is necessary for enlightenment. After many years of practice, now I'm telling you about practice that we do. After many years of practice, one may feel that some deep-rooted defilement is replaced by its opposite, like anger and ill will, with metta or loving kindness. Now, I'm talking to you now. You all also might be conscious of certain changes that have taken place in your mind after taking to the practice. Think of it and see. In the Theravada tradition, certain factors are necessary for words to be considered as false. One, the object or a human being who is able to understand what is told. That's the first one. Then a situation or state of affairs that is untrue, which you want to present as true. Then 3, the intention to deceive. And 4, the expression of the falsehood, either with words, gestures, or body language. And 5, the listener understands what's told and believes it. If these 5 things are complete, one has done the Kamma. The benefits of truthful speech is that in the present life also, one is trusted, believed, and honored. In a future life too, one becomes eloquent. One is able to express oneself, one's ideas clearly, and also be persuasive. If you want something done, you can persuade another to do it. Friends, abandoning the 4 defilements of action that we have discussed today is the way to start the Aryan way of honoring the 6 directions. I have discussed only the first section of the Sigalaka Sutta. I'll deal with the other section next time. Thank you. So do you have any questions? No questions. Okay. Would you like to do a little bit of meditation? Okay, if you like, please Get your posture. Sit properly. Sit straight with the back and the neck and the head. Keep your hands one on top of the other or on your knees. Take a few deep breaths. Now, close your eyes and focus your mind on the top of your head. See the feelings or sensations, whatever you feel there. Maybe the air, or maybe the air is warm or cold or whatever. See, just see it only. Don't think of it as liking or disliking. Just see it. Now take your mind to the sides of your head. See the sensations there. Even if you have some kind of pain or difficulty, don't think about it, but just look at it, see it. Know that it is there. Go to the back of your head. Now come back to the forehead. And see the sensations at the forehead. The air touching your forehead may be very comforting. Go down to your cheeks. Again, the same kind of sensation, perhaps. Go to your eyes. See the eyeballs inside the socket. It's closed. The lids, the eyelids may be slightly heavy. You'll find a slight heaviness because the eyelids are closed. But still, there is a sensation of light, of as if you can see something. Now come down to your lips. They are touching each other, the upper lip and the lower lip. Inside you find the tongue, the teeth, saliva. Now come down to the neck. You will find that is a little different because of the clothes touching your body. Go to the back, the spine, shoulders. See how they are. Are they kept straight with the neck? Now you can see that we are dissecting the body also. not only just looking at it as a whole. So we are looking at it in parts. That is to get an idea of what this body is. So now we go to the arms of the body, arms. You can see that they are bent at the elbows. And if you are keeping the fingers, the hands together, there is the touch of the fingers, of the hands on your lap. Now come to the chest. You can feel it rising and falling. Go further down to the abdomen. See the rising and falling. Now go to the thighs. If you are sitting cross-legged, the legs may be bent at the knees and the forelegs crossing each other. See the feet and the toes. So when you look at it in this way, you will see that we looked at them, the body, not as one, but as many, many parts. Many parts. Actually, the Buddha has divided the body into 32 parts. That is with the inside. We looked at the outside only. So the inside is also there, but we won't be looking at it today. Now let us come back to the nose and see how the air goes in and comes out through the nose. It touches some place at the nose or the upper lip. See where it touches. All this is impermanent. Impermanent. The air also is impermanent. The body is also impermanent. Going in and out is also impermanent. So each time the body takes in the air, there is a kind of liveliness. Each time that you let it out, there is some kind of abandoning. That is impermanence. So friends, let us meet again in 2 weeks and I will continue the Sigalaka Sutta. That is the main part of the sutta.